episode of Always Open. Glad you're back. I've missed you. It's been a whole week, but more time for us since we pre-recorded a couple episodes, so we've missed you. I'm your host, Barbara Dunkelman, and with me today I have some fine-ass people.
Hey, my name is Jeff Ramsey, and I'm one of those people.
Yeah, you are.
This is my second.
It's my time now.
I'm not done yet. It's my second time on your show.
Boom. It is.
Greg, I bequeath the rest of my time
Someone's
to you.
first time.
Hey everybody, it's me, Greg Miller. This is my first time on this show. Please go to
Yeah!
patreon.com/kindafunny.
Lower third.
Please!
What's up? It's me, your friendly neighborhood, Andy Cortez. Go to kindafunny.com.
Just stop right there.
Kindafunny.com.
It's fine, it's perfect. Nailed it.
Patreon.com/findfunny.
Patreon.com/kindafunny.
And if you like games, patreon.com/kindafunny games. And you might say, I don't want to give you any money, I don't really like you that much. Just go to fucking YouTube and subscribe, all right? There's a Kinda Funny channel, Kinda Funny games, cost you nothing. Help me out.
Easy.
No one is better at promoting their stuff than you.
You know, you might give Hannah Hart a run for her money.
No one's more persistent, I'll say that.
That's the thing. And that's what I'll get you with, is the tenacity. You
Yeah.
might not like the content, you might never watch the shows, but you're like, you know what, I respect it enough to do it.
You're kind of like a fungus.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely a barnacle on the side of the Rooster Teeth shit as it
keep
makes
growing.
its way across the internet landscape.
But it's like a fungus that everyone loves.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I literally grow on you. I think a lot of people don't like me in the start, and then they get there in the end.
See, I liked you right from the start.
Thank you very much.
I knew.
Thank you.
I knew
Yeah.
something about you.
Jury's still out for me.
You okay? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's because now
This
Nick's
is where
moved
you
in.
win him over.
Okay, good.
On this show.
I'll do it.
I'm very happy to have you finally.
Me
We've been
too.
meaning to get you on the show for
It's literally since it started.
since
Yeah,
it started.
yeah, it's always been scheduling. We've tried. We always have these emails where it almost happens.
Even this moment here with you having us being here with us
Yeah.
was hard to get. but
Exactly.
we did.
Yeah, I think we scheduled it for December, and then at the
Yeah.
last second had to bail out and move it in.
And then it almost didn't happen in January too
Yeah.
because of other filming stuff,
I tell you
conflicts.
what, man.
The cosmos have aligned, and here we are.
Exactly.
Did you say fine ass or fun ass?
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure.
I said fine ass.
Okay.
But
I
also
couldn't
fun
tell.
ass.
What's a fun ass?
Just asses that are fun.
Are you playing bongos on him?
Yeah.
Is that what that was? All right, cool. I can down with that.
You guys do that on your significant others, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Play
Ass
bongos
bongos?
on
Yeah.
bongo
totally.
butt?
Yeah, yeah.
I used to, that's why I'm divorced.
Happy to have you back, Jeff. Thanks for coming on again. Pleasure to have you guys.
Absolutely.
So let's get things started with our special shot that
We have a
Mariel
very
has
special
prepared.
shot.
In special shot glasses that I can't really quite show you, but they're in the shape of lips.
We can
on
show you
the top.
afterwards, maybe.
Yeah, we'll show you after we drink it. But this one is submitted by Mariel Salcedo, and
Who's
it's the Diet Coke shot. That is a literal shot of Diet Coke and nothing else.
I gotta say it's the first shot I've taken in about 2 years. So
There you go. Oh,
thank
I
you.
wanted you
I'm
to
happy
join
to
us.
do
I
it.
wanted
Yeah, I
you to
appreciate
join
it.
You ready to party, doggy dog?
Can you see them? They're kind of shaped like
God.
lips. There you go. Look at that.
Diet Coke.
It's
Terrible.
like a October 2017 vintage.
Oh, yeah? Good year.
Yeah.
Good year.
Good month.
Coke field.
In diet soda, we go in months, not
Oh,
years.
okay. My
Yeah.
apologies. My apologies.
That's all right.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
Everybody- you
we
wouldn't know.
always take our shot at the beginning of the show, and I figured, why not take a shot we can all take?
It's called the shot out
Yeah.
because I look for any excuse to have a pun. in
Sure.
there.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But those shot glasses were actually made by the same person who made this new box of issues.
Whoa.
Which this fell off. We'll glue that back on after.
Wait, Eric broke that. Let's just
Eric,
be clear.
Eric broke it.
Boo.
But
Eric
it's,
broke that too. That
it's
just
from
fell.
our friend Aiden Yardley Jones.
Yes.
Who made also that one back there. You could see in the Y.
He made that light, and he also made that one behind Barbara.
Yeah.
See that too. That one right there.
I don't know how cameras.
Master of his craft.
He probably doesn't know this, but if you make 3 more things legally, you work for Rooster Teeth.
Oh, really?
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm just
I mean,
saying.
that's
So
what
congratulations.
Yeah.
You know, you made them like 4 things already. I got a logo too.
Oh.
You know,
Just
it's not
saying.
hard. Just make something for us. You know?
Do you have
Never
a-
stops with you.
No. Just, you don't know the logo? Come on over.
Yeah.
Kindafunny.com. Just launched a whole bunch of new shows, all sorts of crazy.
Can we just
stuff happening.
replace Greg's face with a kind of funny logo?
Oh.
The
Right
whole
Hold on.
show. The whole show. Oh, I like how they're like, we have a quick turnaround on this
Anytime.
episode. No editing.
Hey, can we do something incredibly complicated right now?
All right, well, let's get things started with our first game, which is called Cupidity. For those of you who don't know, and Greg, since it's your first time on the show, this is a game where we've taken questions from OkCupid, and then we ask each of you, rapid-fire style, each of the questions, and you kind of just have to answer the first thing that comes to mind.
Got it.
You could go into a little bit of elaboration if you'd like, or quick yes or no answer kind of thing.
You have to. Yeah, you should spell it out because Greg and I are verbose.
That's true.
We'll talk.
We'll
run with it.
We both have had to, and often every week, have to carry a podcast, so we're aware of what it's like to have to talk.
Well, I
Very
mean,
strong shoulders. You know.
there is a no point system whatsoever to it,
Good,
so
okay.
really you could do whatever the fuck you want. You
Oh,
don't have to
okay.
answer any questions if you don't want to, but
Ooh,
please do.
we've never had that.
Pass.
Don't
Pass. I don't want to incriminate myself. Pass.
25 seconds of silence.
All right, Jeff, since you're the person next to me, would you like to go first?
No pressure, yes.
Okay. Are you ready with our timer?
This is
All right.
what's this called?
Cupidity.
Cupidity? Okay.
All right,
Like stupid.
and go. Do you often find yourself worrying about things that you have no control over?
Every day of my life.
How long does it usually take for you to decide whether or not you like a new acquaintance?
1 second.
Would you still work if you won the lottery?
Yes.
Do you believe in dinosaurs?
Yes.
If you were telling someone a story that you had told them before, how would you prefer that they react?
With the appropriate aplomb and reverence, because my stories are phenomenal.
Very good.
What a great answer.
Yeah. That was a very articulate answer, too.
Oh, well, thank you.
So you'd still work if you won the lottery?
I'll be honest with you, I feel like I won the lottery about 10 years ago. So,
Yeah.
Not financially. Not financially.
Just
But
being,
yeah, I can't, like, I think about this all the time, especially now that I'm become like an elder statesman of Rich Teeth, and at some point I will stop, I will hit my 80s and I will have to stop working. But I can't think of anything I would rather do than this every day of my life. It's like being handed the keys to a grown-up playground.
Yeah.
I don't know what amount of money, I don't know what money could give me that I don't already have here, other than better clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, I mean,
I'll take.
we could always use.
Sure.
Don't you design most of your own shirts?
Yes, I do.
This is one of them.
Just make sure I understood.
This is a great look you got going on.
Oh, thanks.
Style's been on point lately.
That's a case in point. Like, even if I were starting to get bored, there's like a jillion new things to do at Rooster Teeth.
Sure.
I think about this sometimes too. I know I'm still too young to be thinking about retirement, but I do think about what the fuck would I do when I'm retired?
Yeah.
How bored would I be?
Yeah.
What would I do with my time? I have no idea. I think about the people who like live in like very secluded kind of areas or move to like a mountain
Florida.
somewhere, Florida. And I think like, what do you do out there? I would want to live in a city where there's always stuff to do.
But then you're old and you don't, like, I don't know, man. You're just tired of doing shit. You've been doing shit your whole life.
Yeah,
You're-
but,
you
like,
just
This is
wake up
when you
and
do the
I
shit you
don't want
wanna
to do
do.
shit
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
What would you do when you're retired?
When I retire,
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing is, will I? I don't know. Like I don't see like what I'm lucky enough, right, and the way my career's gone is that the audience ages with me. And as goofy as it sounds, I really do feel that when we are all 80, there will be an audience of people who want to, other 80-year-olds who want to watch content or whatever this all evolves into or changes into, where you can still have that community feedback.
You'll
and
have
that-
your denture review show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of an interesting point in time because we're globally us in this online entertainment industry. We're the forerunners of this thing.
Yeah.
So there's no template to
You
look
don't know
at.
what happens next.
So we have
Yeah,
no
yeah.
idea what's coming. So
Yeah.
we might be working until we die.
Yeah.
And that might be awesome. I have no idea what to
Well,
look
that's the thing is, you always hear about these people who, work forever and ever and ever, and then they do retire, and then they either die or they come out of retirement to go do something else, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, my father ever retiring. He's a heavy equipment operator in Chicago, crane operator, building buildings and stuff like that. Like, I think I can see him getting moved around and doing different things on the job site, but he'll never stop doing that because I think that's just what drives him the same way work drives me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The thing that I worry about in our industry the most is that and this worry plagues me. I don't know if creativity is a finite resource or not. And I suspect it probably is.
You think so?
Yeah, and like the great writer Philip Roth, he recently, about 5 years ago, retired from writing, and his answer I thought was really painfully honest and great, where he said, could I write another book? Probably, but each book I write gets harder and harder, and at this point, I feel like I'm just a shadow of who I was 20 years ago, and I don't want to be a diminished version of myself.
Sure.
Or
And
like
so,
forcing creativity.
yeah, and he's like, so it's like I'm in my 70s. I've got this body of work. I would love to be as good as I was then, but I don't want to be where I am now. So I'm just going to walk away from it and just have to be happy with what I did.
Sure.
Because it's just not coming to me in the way that it did.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna save up all my creativity for when I'm retired.
There you
There you
go.
go.
I'm gonna write all my books after 70.
Very smart.
Do that.
Just bank it.
Exactly.
You know?
All right, Mr. Greg, are you
Yes.
ready?
Yes.
Oh, I'm looking at the first question already. I know your answer. All right, and go. When you are cooking, do you closely follow recipes or do you operate more on intuition?
Closely follow the recipe.
Are you ultimately responsible for your own happiness?
Yes.
If you had to choose, would you rather spend a year totally isolated from others or a year without ever being alone?
You broke him. Barbara, you broke
I'm
him.
married with people
How often do you wear underwear?
every day.
If you could have, I'll ask you this anyways.
Sorry, I fucked that one up. I got stumped.
good.
You stumped me on that one. God damn.
If you could have brilliant skill at something, would you prefer something practical or something fun?
Something fun.
Okay.
What do I want to learn how to make garden gnomes real well? Screw that, please.
Listen, there's some person out there who does.
I'm sure they that's their thing, but
Yeah.
for me, no, I don't want to do that.
So you,
Sorry, it's water.
that question broke you.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one, right? Because this is what always happens with hypotheticals when we do them on the podcast, is that then I have 15 follow-ups to them.
Yeah.
Like, well, what does that mean? But does this mean, like when people are like, oh, you're on a desert island, what game would you want? And it's always like, am I connected to the internet? Is there
For this game?
Yeah,
Or-
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, completely isolated for a year or surrounded by people all the time. Like, I feel that should have been easier probably. But the way it was phrased, because it does get to be the thing, like, man, isolated for a year, are all my expenses taken care of? Can't I just play games and consume content on my own and not have to worry about anything?
Yeah.
But then of course
Yeah.
I can't be away from Jen for like
30
a day.
seconds.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
We've noticed.
She's right over there. And not to give you any pressure, babe. That's where a young Andy Cortez sat when I used to do podcasts, and look at him now. You might work at Kind of Funny one day.
You
I
guys,
remember that.
yeah.
You guys have some sort of like an eyeline requirement, right?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can't. She knows that I can't be left to my own devices. I'm like a 3-year-old. Like, what are you eating? What are you eating? What is that? Put it down.
Put it down. Get that out of your mouth.
It's very cute. You guys are like one of the cutest couples I think in the entire world.
Thank you.
No offense. Everybody.
Yeah.
No offense, other couples in the world.
No offense. Oh, their duck's not there
Duck's
anymore.
gone. We sent the duck away.
Where'd it go? Oh,
It went to our Extra Life winner, our duck that usually sits right behind Barbara, who we absolutely loved.
and we replaced it.
We replaced it with this
smaller
tiny duck who has a choker on.
I appreciated
yeah.
that on the New Year's episode, the duck was also wearing
Yes.
New Year's
A little.
bling.
I think we actually sent him with the New Year's bling too.
Nice.
Oh, did we?
So whoever won that won our duck for donating. You're welcome.
The cooking question I was curious about because you cook a lot.
Yeah.
You even are going to be doing a cooking show.
Yeah, we already did season 1 of Cooking with Greggy, available now, youtube.com/kindoffunny. And then, yeah.
You're setting him up, and he's just
What?
spiking him
No.
down.
If you didn't know that it's also, we're doing fundraising month here all throughout January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask,
Patreon.com/kindoffunny.
what if I liked cooking with Greggy, but I wanted to support you monetarily in some way because I liked it that much?
Wow, what a great question, Jeff. If you like Kind of Funny content or Greg Miller shenanigans, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, where for the month of January, we're raising money for Kind of Funny's future. That includes a world tour. So far, we're going across
Wow.
the nation and into Canada, and now we are building towards stretch goals of London and Australia.
Damn, where in Canada?
What's the one right across from Seattle? Vancouver. That's the one. I'm sorry. I'm better about. I know Quebec really well, but
Yeah.
outside of that, it always gets confusing for me.
Does Andy Cortez get to go on these trips?
TBD. All right, it'll be me, Tim, and Nick
If
for
he
most
does,
of them.
Please don't.
Oh, I was going to say then we need to
No,
go.
I have real beef with Andy Cortez.
What's that about?
He doesn't know how to count.
Oh.
His 30-second reviews are
Oh,
always
sure,
over 30 seconds.
Sure.
And it's a real issue.
What a fucking
If you
piece
if
of
you
shit.
agree with that, if you don't like Andy Cortez, it's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Go to youtube.com/kindoffunny. He's got a new show called KFAF. It's very funny, and you can go in the comments and
What
tell
does
him
that
he
stand
sucks.
for?
Kind of
Kinda
funny,
funny,
and then
yes.
we just don't know the rest is because we don't want to tell advertisers.
Oh.
We don't say that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Your secret's safe with
I
us.
love Andy.
But
I
no,
thought
that-
you said, I thought it was going to be as fuck, and I assume that's what it was, but
Yeah.
the way you said it, it sounded like ass fuck.
kind of funny.
Kind of funny ass fuck.
Hey man.
It
You
goes
know?
with my
But bongos.
but bongo
Bongos.
friends.
When I cook, I love cooking, and we're doing another season of Cooking with Greggy this year.
That's awesome.
And but when I do it, what I like about cooking is the idea that, especially because I don't bake. Baking is science, cooking is jazz. When cooking, you can change an ingredient. You
Would
can
you
say,
agree?
I agree.
I like garlic more than they do, so I'm gonna put more garlic in, which is what everybody should.
Ba-da.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you just get to go in there and do it. So I follow the recipe pretty close, but then I will occasionally deviate. But in general, I really do like the idea of going down the list and doing all the stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Always double with garlic.
Mara
Yeah,
cooks
exactly.
too. You guys all cook, don't you? That's my goal this year. is to
Yeah.
Cook more. All right, Merle,
Hit me, Barb.
you read?
Let's do it.
All right. Ready with our timer?
Sure.
I
I
assume
don't
you-
know.
All right. Yikes. And go. If you were about to die, what would you do with your money?
Give it all to my mom.
Does the idea of living underwater fascinate you?
No.
If you had an 18-year-old son or daughter who wanted to become an adult film star, how would you react?
I would try to be as, I don't know, loving as possible, but I probably wouldn't approve.
Have Have you ever tasted your own sexual fluids?
No.
What a finish.
I didn't like that one.
What a turn!
I
Is
didn't
that
like
an
that
okay
one.
Cupid question?
They are.
Sure is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, we had our associate producer Christian make a profile and answer every OkCupid question, so we
okay,
could get
okay.
a hold of them.
So living underwater doesn't fascinate?
No, no, that shit's terrifying.
Like if you could like do it in a safe way.
And do what?
Boring.
Hang out with who? Right.
Sharks? Those weird fish with the
Blobfish.
teeth.
Like
The fish with the teeth. The weird fish with the teeth. Yeah, just making sure I heard you right on that one.
Yeah.
Which fish with the teeth?
You know, the
You
one.
know Aquaman wasn't real, right? That's like, what it's like down there.
I didn't see that movie. Did you guys see Aquaman?
Of course. DC for life. Come
Did
on.
you like it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Don't you do not need to
DC
go
for
on.
Life man's wearing a Spider-Man.
Hey man,
Type in.
it's the only Spider-Man tie clip, or it's the only tie clip that's the right size for this tie. All right, so there you go.
I believe you.
I went scuba diving once. It was a lot of fun. Don't want to be down there all the time.
What if
Got
you
an ear
could
infection?
breathe underwater? Like what if
be a
ever?
fish.
And you have to live there though. You have to live
What if like
underwater?
everyone lived underwater?
What if you just said yes and she'll move on? She'll be happy
Yes. I would.
I
do
need
it.
to dig.
All right.
Digger.
You're not getting out of this until you
Yeah.
agree that it's as interesting as she wants you to think it is.
Listen, turns out I need to live underwater. I need someone to come with me.
Obviously, you and Trevor, I'll buy you a boat. Just sink it, go down there. You'll
You know,
be
there's a
fine.
bacteria
Gross
right now
bills.
eating the Titanic.
No.
Titanic won't
the
be there much
Titanic?
longer.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
What kind of bacteria eats a boat?
We'll send her down and we'll figure it out. I don't know.
I'll
She can interview it. Talk. Why are you doing this?
You know, I just
Have you seen the fish with the teeth?
Did you hear? This might be a story for a different podcast, but did you hear how they discovered the Titanic?
Yeah, by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like top secret government thing, or they were, yeah.
They weren't looking for the heart of the
Wait,
ocean.
whoa, no, I didn't know that part. No, I thought it was the guys.
That was
Whatever. No.
Yeah, we'll talk about
I guess
that.
I don't.
No.
Okay. Are we ready? And go. Which is scarier to reveal to a new partner, your emotions or your body?
My body.
Did you have childhood heroes? If so, were they real people or fictional characters?
No.
Okay. Would it be a good idea to pass a law requiring people to take a course and pass a test before being allowed to have a child?
Absolutely.
Do you have a nice ass?
It's okay.
How often are you influenced by peer pressure?
Not often.
There you go.
I also realized it said bouquet about my ass.
It's bouquet.
okay.
Who is more annoying, the person who talks too much or the person who doesn't talk enough?
Talks too much.
Oh man, you know, I think about the question. What was it about requiring people to have a test? And
Yeah.
it seems very dystopian, but it also seems very utopian at the same time.
Yeah. I think too many people have kids who should never be allowed to procreate. Ever. Ever.
That's true.
So one of my pet peeves is being out in public and there's kids who are acting like little shitheads, running around and bothering other people, and their parents are doing nothing.
Yeah.
Hate it. Fucking hate it.
Not talking about anybody at this table.
No. No, you're good. Millie's great.
I think Millie's probably she's not a kid. She's a teenager, right?
She's 13 going on
Wow.
like 47.
Yeah, man. Anytime I've ever been around Millie, she just seems so mature.
I have to admit something. I am like very shy around Millie because she's way cooler than I am.
I feel that. No, I definitely feel that.
Yeah.
I've had that nervousness talking to her of like, why am I nervous talking to this kid? I want this kid to think I'm cool.
Yeah. And then you end up going like, hey Millie, what's
What are you playing these days, huh?
Yeah, she sees right through that shit.
She's like, actually, I'm reading books. I'm like, all right, talk to you later.
It is funny though, because I first met Millie in person, I think like in 2008.
Yeah, okay. She was like
And
3.
Yeah, she was very little, and I remember like she was like always playing with me and like hanging out, and now it's just like, hey Millie.
Yeah, I miss that kid
What are
too.
you doing?
That was very uncomplicated, that 3-year-old.
Oh yeah. Now she's complicated.
Yeah.
Let's get some more water for Jeff.
No, Millie was definitely one of those kids that when Jen and I were like, oh, we're gonna have kids one day, it was like, man, I think I've talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Like, how did you do that? Because I want a kid as cool as Millie.
As cool as
like,
that.
yeah, I want to make sure my kids are cool like that.
You just fucking ignored them largely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you plan on having kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
With Jen?
Maybe. You know, I mean, yes, with Jen.
Awesome. All right, so before we move on, I want to say that this episode of Always Open is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free. They strive to make financial services work for everyone, not just the wealthy. It's a non-intimidating way for stock market newcomers to invest for the first time with true confidence. With Robinhood, you don't get charged commission fees. Other brokerage charges up to $10 for every trade, but Robinhood doesn't charge commission fees at all. Trade stocks and keep all of your profits. Mariel, you've been dabbling.
I got that Robinhood girl. I was just pulling it up. Yeah, we always talk about personal finance on the show, which is, it's funny, it's not a personal finance show, but
Mariel is a lot about it.
yeah, it's a great way to get started on doing something that a lot of people are very afraid of, and you don't have to like throw in thousands of dollars to do it. You can literally start with $5. That's what I did.
Oh, nice.
And if you sign up with our code, you get a free stock, which is really cool.
Ooh.
And they have like super helpful guides, like Investing 101, to kind of like get you through it and answer questions. And it's, I don't know, it's a good way to dip your toe in.
I always go to Mariel for my financial advice.
Oh, you do.
So.
Merrill Lynch right here. You know?
Yeah.
Hey.
What did you turn that $5 into?
I just got it, Jeff.
Just started out. We'll get an update next
We'll get
time.
an update. We'll get an update. I did get a free stock, Zynga.
Oh.
Oh yeah, you do get a free stock.
Yeah, you get a free stock. So
Dark
sign
horse
up.
choice.
Which I will tell you about momentarily. Learn about how to invest and build your portfolio, discover new stocks, and track favorite companies with personalized news feeds. You can set up custom notifications for price movements so you never miss the right moment to invest. Robinhood is giving our viewers a free stock, as Mariel just mentioned, like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. You could sign up at always.robinhood.com. That's always.robinhood.com. Thank you, Robinhood.
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome. I need to do that. I need to be smarter with my money,
Me too.
You know,
Yeah, that's going around.
so I could retire early.
no day
and
but
be
today.
Bored.
Well, you gotta write all your novels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm storing up those ideas right now.
Start that literary career.
Exactly. All right, so our first question of the show comes from Kyle B. And Kyle wants to know, how do you find the time to manage both personal and professional lifestyles?
For me, it's with a lot of patience and understanding from my wife. I am not good at it at all. And that
In
was
what way? Like you skew more towards...
I mean, I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it is that thing when Jen's not in town, or, you know, before we were together, it would be. And it's different. I mean, it's so hard, right? Because Kind of Funny is my job, but it's also my passion, and it's also my life. And, you know, even when we go do something fun, that's going to be content, right, for the shows we make.
Well, I
So
think it's the extra pressure, too, because it's your company.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
You literally started it
Oh
from the ground
man,
up.
that was the biggest thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget when I was like, "Oh man, when's Andy get here?" And they were like, "Oh, he's driving across the country right now." And that was when it was like, "Oh, he's doing for us what I did for IGN." And it was like, "Oh, and I feel like since we got the employees, I've worked that much harder. to
That
make
is a
sure-
tremendous amount of responsibility.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I was stressing recently on one of the shows, right, where it was somebody wrote in asking about, like, when I go and host stuff, right? Oh yeah, and they were like, you know, you've been hosting these things, but do you play those games? And I was like, well, no, like, when I talk on the shows about games, you know what I'm playing. And when I go host something, I'm doing it as a job to expand my skill set as a host, and it's, you know, similar ways to do it up at noon at IGN and stuff like that. But I'm like, just so you understand, that's never me going out to chase a personal dream of leaving Kind of Funny. That's me going out and earning money for Kind of Funny, right? Like, when we started the company, the idea has always been, as the co-founders, that it's all for one for all. Like, we go out, and when I do an appearance or I do something, if it's a paid gig, the money's coming back to Kind of Funny.
Yeah.
And my idea there is that I want to continue to grow, and like, we just hired our 8th employee, right? And like,
Was it an intern?
no. His name's Barrett Courtney. He used to work at IGN, and when we originally launched, he hit me up about, hey, can I be an unpaid intern?
Right,
Like, I'd love
okay,
to come
yeah.
to do all this stuff. And, you know, we're lucky enough 4 years later that now he's full time with us. But it's that idea that we're all out there busting our ass trying to make this a real thing so that it can continue to grow and get a better studio and get more people in there.
How long did it take Rooster Teeth to get 8 employees?
We probably hit our 8th employee 7 years in, 6 or 7 years in.
So you guys are
Yeah.
ahead of
We're a
the
little
game.
bit ahead of the
A
curve.
little ahead of the curve.
Yeah, we'll see.
Can you imagine, like, just the growth of that? Like, I came in 2014, and I think I was like 85, 86, and now it's 5 years later, and it's
420?
400 something.
Yeah. Did you work at Ralph Albineta? Okay. I thought you did, but I wasn't sure, yeah.
It's a tired story at this point for people who've been around me, but I keep telling people the same story that yesterday they took me over to the other place where they're doing the animation and the game and all that jazz. And walking through, and they're like, all right, here's where Camp Cape is, here's Ruby, and they're showing me around. Like, I almost broke down in tears.
Wow.
And the guy was giving, I was like, how long have you been? He's like, I've been here 5 years. I'm like, you need to understand that the first time I ever came to Rooster Teeth, it was the old office. It was right after Gauntlet Season 2. And I'll never forget when I'm getting the tour, and here's the hole in Gavin's desk, and this, that, and the other. And we walked into like what was part of the studio, and there was the little desk and the little bed. And Monty was there, and he's like, oh yeah, this is where I animate everything.
This is the
And I was like,
animation
oh. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna hire some more people maybe one day. I don't know. And it was like to walk in now and see this thing and this like production thing that is also so divorced from you guys. Not that I'm saying like you're not connected, but the fact that I go over there and it's like I look around, I'm like, man, Gus isn't walking around. I don't see, you know what I mean? Like I didn't see Miles, right? Like I didn't see people that I was like. Carrie eventually walked by. I was like, oh, hey, I know you. But it was like, wow, the growth of this company and what you guys have become in the short time I've known about you. You know what I mean?
It's weird that you're talking about, even like when I go over there to record Red versus Blue audio or whatever, people look at me like, who the fuck are you and why are you in my workspace?
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'll get out of here. Get out of your way. Yeah. So yeah, like there's that constant pressure for me of I want to make sure that we're doing the right things, we're making the right choices, and we're working as hard as possible. Because again, like we were talking earlier, this is something I'm cognizant of could be the last. Every day could be the last of this. Something could happen, something could change, and Patreon goes away, the ad market changes, all this jazz. A million dominoes could fall and we could be out on our ass.
Do you ever foresee yourself not thinking like that?
No, because I hope that's what keeps you hungry and keeps you, appreciative of every opportunity, right? And that is the thing where I think when I get I just signed a hosting gig overnight, right? And it was one of those things that I was also at the same time trying to get them to say yes or no because a much smaller opportunity was asking as well if I could come do something next week. And it was that juggling thing, both are as important to the other, and I don't want to waste the time of the person with the smaller opportunity. I want to make sure we're doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's always in my mind. And I feel most of the time I'm okay with it. But there's times where it's I apologize to Jen on Twitter or on Instagram, like, well, this podcast is still going and we still have another meeting to do. So I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna make it. And in December we did the Kind of Funny Game Showcase, which was a stand-in for this PlayStation Experience conference that used to happen, and we had a month and a half to pull it off. And it was it'll be 12 years for me, right, this year of being in the video game industry and being a personality or whatever, journalist, whatever you want to call it. And this was by far the hardest I've ever worked and the most stressed out I've ever been.
Really?
And so, like, Jen had to not only take on, the role of my wife, but then my partner, and then helping me, and like, where I had to, like, at work, I was just like, for the first time ever, I'm not doing games daily today. I'm calling Andrea, have her come in to do it with somebody else. But then at home, it was like the same thing. I'm just like, I'm coming home late, and I still have to keep working, so I can't make dinner, which I love. It's just this domino effect that I hope there's a balance to it. I know that I'm not being the husband or partner I want to be in that moment.
Yeah.
But I express that. I hope you know what I mean. I think I'm pretty good at it.
So what kind of things do you do to balance that? Like, because I assume that you still have a social life and stuff with Genevieve and everything like that. And
mainly, I mean, it's knowing when I'm bad at it still to this day, but I'm better at expressing, all right, this is important to me. The problem with me is that I am a man who likes a schedule. Yeah. So if you tell me the day before, hey, I want to wake up and I want to go do this and I want to go do that and I'm like, perfect, great. But if it is, hey, what do you want to do tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, I want to play video games all day, great. And then we wake up and I start to, and she's like, you know what, I love it. And I'm like, oh. And it's me just being grumpy because I just don't like changing my schedule and I had a day plan.
Yeah.
But then it is also in your head telling yourself to get over it, right? Like, stop being a weirdo, go do this. And because I love doing things with my wife, and of course any relationship is compromised in finding that. But what I've struggled with is the days where I'm like, all right, fine, we go and do it. And then it'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm grumpy. She's like, why are you grumpy? And I'm like, I really wanted to do X today. And she's like, well, why didn't you say that? Just say that. If like there's the balance of the scales of justice here, right? In terms of like, if something's more important to you to do right now than it is to me, we just need to talk about that and we can make it work and figure it out. But I'm bad at that. And it's interesting. I always talk about it. I wasn't always like this. I didn't always have that hair trigger, and it was something about cancer and chemo that really fucked up my insides and fucked up my emotional scale in terms of I went from not being a super all the time happy-go-lucky easygoing guy, but I did get a hair trigger. I did have the fuse get cut down to nothing. And it is that thing where I will be having great days and then two minor things will go wrong. And for me, it'll be like, all right, cool. In my schedule, in my plan, I know I'm gonna wake up and do the dishes, right?
Yeah.
And I'll wake up and start in on the dishes, and it's like, well, let's open the dishwasher. The dishwasher's still full. All right, well, this counts the dishes. Throw this away, and you open the trash, and the trash is full. And it's like, those little things will start me percolating and get me into a bad place really quickly that I have to stop and think through and calm myself down.
Yeah. And that only happened after.
Yeah, I don't remember it beforehand, and it's the fact that cancer and chemo like obviously took me away from being myself for 6 months, and then the ramifications of it afterwards were felt for a long time. But I knew I was an emotional roller coaster during the treatment, right? Of just the way it changes your body and like your chemical makeup, right? Where it was that, yeah, I would be furious at the drop of a hat. I would cry. I cry all the time, but I cry at a drop of a hat. And hey, cry boys over here. You know, but it was like all of a sudden, yeah, I would just lose it in moments that shouldn't have happened. And I always thought once I got out of chemo, that would stop.
Yeah.
And it's not nearly as intense as it was as when I broke the front door coming home in like my whatever hangover from a chemo session or whatever. But it's still there that I get too angry too quickly, and I need to calm it down and have that conversation internally.
You're the Hulk in disguise.
Exactly, right? That's my secret.
But we do like you when you're angry.
Yeah.
Jeff, for you, I'm very curious about your answer because I listen to the Off Topic podcast as well, so I hear a lot of stories that you tell. How the fuck do you have time to watch every fucking show and movie, read books, exercise, have a kid, do this? Like, I am astounded by how you have time for all of that.
I have a very unhealthy relationship with myself, I think. And I look at a lot of that stuff as work. And I have, in my current iteration, I have two loves in my life. I have my daughter, and secondarily to her is Rooster Teeth. And you hit a point in your life where, I was talking about this with somebody the other day, I don't have any hobbies anymore. My hobby was turned into Rooster Teeth. Mm-hmm. And I just love to work. And so, and this may sound lame, but like when I watch all those TV shows and I do all that stuff, I view that as work. Like I need to talk professionally 4 to 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I'm lucky that I've had a rich life and I have a bunch of dumb stories and things that have happened to me and experiences that I've had that I can draw from. But you have to refill that bucket constantly.
Yeah.
And so I view what we do I feel like there's a responsibility to be aware of not only what's going on in the world, but pop culture in general.
Yeah.
And so, like other people go home and they watch Safe on Netflix or Succession on HBO or whatever. 2 shows I'm watching right now. So
Succession's really good.
Succession's really good.
Succession's really good.
Or I'm watching Love Island season 2 right now because I missed that one.
Hell yeah.
I've seen 1, 3, and 4, but I haven't seen season 2 yet. I feel like a responsibility to watch those things because I need stuff to talk about. And I want to maintain, like, I know I'm 43 years old and our audience is 19. But, and I don't want to be, like, nobody wants to be the 35-year-old dude that shows up and does a keg stand at a party, right?
Well,
like the old guy who's still trying to fit in with the young kids. Yeah. And I feel like I'm straddling that line just based on my age. And
I feel like you've never given me that impression.
Well, thank you very much. I try to stay young. But so I feel a responsibility to be able to speak at least intelligently, but also with some authenticity to the audience. Mm-hmm. And so I try to make sure that I'm steeped in the things that they're into.
Yeah.
And so all of those things that I do, even exercise and all that stuff, that's more for health. That's more because I want to be around for Millie for a really long time to come. And
it's good motivation.
When you become, and I know Griffin will be there for her forever, but when you're no longer like a cohesive unit, like all the responsibility feels like it's on me now, even though it's not. I mean, she has Millie 26 weeks a year, I have the other 26. But a lot of it is just like setting myself up for a long future of getting to spend time with my daughter and watching her become the person that she's going to be and being there to support her for it. And every other second of my life is devoted to this place.
Yeah.
Which I think is super unhealthy, but I'm also happier than I've been in a really long time. So
well, then why would you say it's unhealthy?
Because I am a person of extremes. Okay. And I know I have that's why I became an alcoholic. It's less to do, I think, with the actual alcohol and more to do with my ability or my obsession with things, and I get obsessed with things, and I take them to an unhealthy degree. So it's something that I try to keep in mind in the background. So, or when I get obsessed with things, like now I'm obsessed with losing weight and keto. So like I try to be, well, it's 22 pounds, but in 3 months. But I try to obsess on positive things now, as opposed to you getting fucking hammered 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Or drugs or whatever it is. Yeah.
Do you think that's, I guess, an addictive personality?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of like the question where, how do you balance personal and professional life?
I don't.
You just don't?
I don't. Yeah. It's probably like this for you in your relationship too, and it's not as bad as it used to be, and I think you'll probably identify with this, but in the early days of Rooster Teeth, and I count the early days being like the first 9 years, honestly, because it's such a radically different place than it was then, and we were still, like even 9 years in, we were still forming the departments that now, permeate the company.
A lot of the departments didn't even exist yet.
If it's true, or the department started to show, like we did a podcast and now we have a broadcast department, so we were still in the weeds with that. In those early days, if you were in my life, whether you were married to me or you were my child or you're my mom or you're my friend that I know from something that has nothing to do with Rooster Teeth, you're in the Rooster Teeth orbit. You're working on Rooster Teeth, whether you want to be or not.
Oh yeah.
Your favors are getting called in left and right. Like to be my friend or my girlfriend or my wife or my mom meant you were working on Rooster Teeth if you were around me.
100% the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're in that place you're talking about, right? Where we throw the holiday party and everybody's significant other comes and we extend it out, and it is that idea of like, oh yeah, you're all pulled on camera or you're talked about on camera. Like people know you, even though you're not.
Just stuff like when you threw the prom that you guys did. I'm sure everyone was helping out.
Of course,
it's all hands on deck all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I try to be good about that too, where I apologize on the last Game Over Greggy show, the final Game Over Greggy show. Like I brought Tim's girlfriend Gia on and was very much like, I'm sorry. And she's like, I get it. Like, we all get it. Everyone's here. And like, everybody sacrifices so much for us to keep this going and try to make it a thing.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. I've never found a way to strike that balance. And with the gift of sobriety came also a lot of energy and clarity. And I also realized that as a performer, I was joking around earlier about performing to 19-year-old kids, but I have a limited window when I can do stuff on camera. And so...
Tell me, I think about that every day.
Yeah.
Especially as a woman.
And as a woman, it's super fucking unfair, but your window is a lot shorter than mine, probably.
Tick, tick, bitch.
Take a second, always open shut.
No, it's bullshit, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
right? And that's changing, hopefully, and it will continue to change. But
well, that's the hope again, right? Like
Yeah.
that is, we were talking about earlier about being still in the pioneer phase of this industry, whatever you want to call it. I do feel it traditionally, like the norms of television and movies don't necessarily apply. As there is going to be a clock where one day people are like, well, Barb's too old. Get her.
Well, they don't
already
apply,
saying
but they're starting to.
Yeah.
This online independent entertainment industry is being gobbled up by corporations and disappearing. The true indie performers are just being swallowed up, which is it was bound to happen. But so I also about 2 years ago when I went through that transformation, which is when I began to realize I was going to get divorced and all that stuff, I decided that I was going to not say no to any opportunity and work that much harder while I can and while I have opportunity. So I've just been going like full steam ahead, balls to the wall with Rooster Teeth for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I can while I can. Because I can and while I can. So
Good mentality.
I'll figure out my personal life later.
Eventually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't always able to balance it well. And I think now that I've pushed off a lot of my responsibility on other people at the company, that's great that you
Well, I mean, that was
give
the
employees
thing.
and you could delegate and then you could
Well, when you were
contact.
when you're community, right, and like you're social, like that, you can't turn that off. You know what I mean? Like you're always part of that, and that's still where I think we struggle the most. I'll see it pop the Reddit on my phone and be like, well, fuck, I gotta answer this. Somebody's got to say something here.
It's very true.
Can I give you one quick piece of advice because of the unique
Please.
position that you're in that is unsolicited? But
It's
now
always
that
solicited from
you and Trevor are starting a relationship, and you're both within the company, and therefore you both are working in tandem towards a greater good, or hopefully a greater good, in that you're both like focused together in a relationship, but you're also focused similarly in a career. There were a lot of conversations that my ex-wife and I, Griffin, had about, we'll worry about us later. Let's worry about this thing in front of us, this Rooster Teeth thing in front of us. Let's nurture that right now, and we're good. We'll be fine. We can deal with us later. And you can only do that for so long before it starts to negatively affect your marriage. And it definitely had repercussions to us. So I hope that you and Trevor make sure to take the time to focus on each other and not just Rooster Teeth and the thing that you're working on together.
We will talk about work for 10 minutes when we get home, and then it's done.
Okay, good.
Good.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer if there was something big then.
That's a piece of advice I wish someone would have given me 10 years ago.
Well, I appreciate it.
My life would maybe be different.
All right, so let's move on to our next question. Very curious to hear your answers on this as well. What is something you've been meaning to try but haven't gotten around to yet? And that's submitted by Sarah K. For me, kind of simple. I want to go to Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, I've never been in that area of the world.
Yeah.
And Japan is a place that I've always been fascinated by. But especially now that we've been doing Ruby for over 5 years, it's kind of like, I guess, a greedy perspective, but like I really want to see Ruby stuff there.
Sure.
And it's there, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should. It's very cool.
And I feel like I've been lucky enough to travel to a lot of different places for work and just personal and whatnot, but I feel like every culture I've seen has been similar enough to the US culture. You know,
Sure.
I've been multiple places in Europe. I've been obviously to Canada and Mexico and various places around there, but I feel like Japan is so different from what you've ever experienced before.
They say for a Westerner, it is the closest thing to visiting an alien planet. Like it's the
Yeah.
most foreign thing that a Westerner can experience.
Wow.
And that's why it's my favorite place to go.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's
actually,
so
yeah.
great to be there and be like, I am so out of place.
It's so phenomenal to watch how well it works.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh my
there.
God,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
you can just sit there and study humanity there.
Yeah.
And how respectful and clean and efficient they are. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
You got to go.
I would love to experience that. So that's my big thing. I would hope to do that this year if I can.
Are you still surprised in the States when you'll go into somewhere and you'll see Ruby stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I'm in a city and I go into a GameStop or something,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, there's.
How often do you go into a GameStop?
Not very often.
But it's where the players play.
Not sponsored.
No, yeah, that's my thing. Is like, you know, as somebody who knows you guys personally, and I know all the stuff you do, it's so crazy. Whenever like GameStop was the first round of it of like, oh man, I know these characters. But then
Yeah.
it is like, as somebody who like when I go to a new city, which is often nowadays, I always try to go to a comic shop. You know what I mean, and support the local comic book scene. And to go in there and see all the Ruby stuff or all the other Rooster Teeth stuff that's in there, it's always like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It is. There's weird moments like that. I had one last night actually, with Ruby specifically, where I was on Reddit and I wanted to see what people were saying about Genlock.
Oh, yeah.
Just curious about. I wanted to get take the pulse of, take the temperature of how people feel about Genlock right now. And I'd blown through the Rooster Teeth subreddit where I'm on all the time. And so I thought, oh, there's a Ruby subreddit, and that maybe they'll talk about it there. And so I just did on the Reddit app, I did a Ruby search, and I found out that there is a lot of Ruby porn. There are Ruby subreddits for it. And I was like,
There is a I won't say it on the show.
yeah, I'm not gonna name names.
We'll
but
write it
there were
down.
two.
Specific, not safe
Yeah.
for work Ruby subreddit. That
Yeah.
is
It's just porn.
And
it's
that's when you
active.
go like, you're like,
It's active.
people chose to draw this. This show's bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
You know, and in great quantities, they chose to draw it.
That's always how Tumblr now doesn't exist in the form that it used to,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
All of the great stuff, aka porn, was taken away. But there were so many times when I'd be scrolling, and of course, you scroll long enough on Tumblr, and some kind of porn pops up. But like, the anime, what is it? Is it hentai?
Yeah.
Just like that's someone's job. Like,
Yeah.
someone drew that, someone wrote that, someone directed that.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
And it's beautiful, and it's just so interesting that the level. So I bet someone one day was like, you know what, I haven't done enough of the thing that I really want to do. I really want to make some hentai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
God bless them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not.
We do a comic book club show, and I had Irene Coe on, and I was talking about her Patreon, which she does a whole bunch of not safe for work sex scenes and stuff like that. And I was like, is it that every comic artist does just want to draw smut? She's like, yeah, kind of. And it's sure enough,
human
any
body is
artist you
amazing.
like, yeah, you go and you just go to a Patreon for them. And the comic book artists these days, they have it.
I have, anecdotally, we worked with an artist for many, many years, Luke McKay, you know Luke, fellow Canadian, made RT Comics with Griffin, that was phenomenal. 5 books they made, kindoffunny.com/Patreon.
Thank you.
And
Well, no, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine.
Patreon.com/kindoffunny. Whatever. And I found out after we ended that cartoon, that comic, that Luke drew us anatomically correct in every frame. Under every T-shirt,
Oh, wow.
or under every pair of
Like-
pants
like dicks
are
and
my
vaginas?
genitals or your genitals. Or he was like, oh yeah, you got to draw the dicks. And he's like, here, look, take this layer off. Because I'd be putting the books together. And
You're
he'd be
like, no
and sometimes
way.
I get a Photoshop
no.
file
Yeah.
instead of a JPEG, and I'd be like, is it? No, there's my cock. Yeah. And it'd be like, but I'm sure I guarantee you Luke has drawn you naked.
Was
as
it-
anybody
was
he's
it-
ever drawn.
Was it to size?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did he?
Yeah, did he
did you
get
do
active?
like
I'll just
life model
say,
for him?
Luke's a generous guy.
What about you guys? Something you've been meaning to try but haven't?
Something I thought a lot about at the end of 2018, which I've started doing more, is meditating.
Oh, yeah.
Doing more.
Like TM, transcendental meditation. It's like
Oh, you know more about it than we do.
Yeah.
I just know that name. I don't know.
I've never heard of
I
that.
don't know. I just turn on a YouTube video or an app.
Yeah. There's a couple apps. Which is nice.
But it was more so as like a way to invest more in myself and like mental health, because like I feel like last year really sucked for me personally. So I was like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna just try it, and I've been doing it for like 6 days now.
How's it feel?
I don't know. I pass out in the middle of the like while I'm listening to it at night, so
Yeah.
that kind of helps because I have a hard time sleeping. But
That's good that it helps you fall
we'll
asleep.
see. This morning I listened to one about gratitude, and it was thanking my heart for beating for me.
Wow.
So I'm feeling really like.
Let's all thank our
chill.
hearts for beating for us right now, guys.
Thank you, Heart.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think about it, man. It's a
Heart's
tireless
whatever.
job, right? It's always working. It
It
doesn't
literally
get a
never
break.
turns off. It doesn't get a break.
Whenever
What's up?
people talk about listening to meditations when they're going to sleep, I watched a lot of Friends growing up, and I always think about that Friends episode where Chandler is listening to a meditation tape, but it's
Yes.
meant for a woman, so it's like, you are a strong, independent woman. And then like he starts having more like feminine qualities through it.
Right.
And just I always think
Yeah.
about that.
Well, when I started listening to him, you think about like the movies or the TV shows that you've seen where it's usually like people who are a little off kilter, and they're like trying to like and you're like you can do this, and like the ones I listen to aren't so much like that, but anyway,
So you're trying that more.
I'm trying it out, trying it on for size, seeing how it feels. you know?
Hell yeah. Well, you keep us posted.
Putting it on.
We'll have a Meryl's meditation moment
Ooh.
update every
Namaste.
episode.
Namaste.
Namaste in bed every morning. Greg,
Hey, Barb.
hey.
How you doing?
You've tried many a thing.
I have, yeah. You know, they call me Greg Try Anything Once Miller. That's what they call me.
Yeah. Your legal name?
Anything for $5 on patreon.com/Kevin. I don't know. Yeah, this is an interesting one for me because I feel like I am very much, I go out and do, if I want to do something, I go out and do it. The one that is still stuck in my brain and hanging over my head is writing a comic book. Because last year, New Year's resolutions, so for 2017, or right? No, 2018. God.
Yeah, I know.
We did a GOG about it, and it was, I was gonna write this Superman comic, and I gave this Superman pitch, and I started in on it, and it was like, this is awesome, this is great, and then work caught up with it, where it was like, cool. That was when there was like 2 months of no games, and then all the games came out, and so it was having to play games and do it, and I ran into the same thing I ran into, which led to Kind of Funny, which I was like, this is gonna be a fun outlet for me, and discovered my passion still is Kind of Funny. It still is video games, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I love reading comics. I have a bunch of ideas for comics, but like what led to Kind of Funny was me being like, all right, well, I'm pouring myself too much into IGN. I need something of my own. And so I looked into writing comics and decided at the time that wasn't for me. I wrote a manuscript for a children's book that I still want to do something with, but I never had. It's like you look into how to publish a book, you're like, that's really tough.
Yeah, it's
That's
a lot,
that's a
yeah.
lot of work, and I don't know, so blah blah. So like every so often I'll talk to an artist friend about like, I have it. Do you want to just draw
I'm
it?
surprised that you don't have a connection in that realm.
It's the same thing. I'm sure if you shook enough trees, you could. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things that's not my driving force every day. There's so many other things on top of me that I need to just do it, and that's why I'm still trying to team up with people of artists, just to like, you know more about it. If you draw it, we just put it up on the Amazon store, or Kindle store, or whatever, and do it that way, kind of thing.
Well, here's what you do. You start with hentai.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get it?
Always start with hentai.
Always start.
This one's about Portillo the Wiener Dog, of course.
Oh, I need it.
Yeah.
Portillo is the best dog.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This puts me in a tough spot. I had a nightmare last night. And when I say I had a nightmare, I mean I've never had this vivid of a nightmare. And I will not go into details because I woke up and Jen was looking at me. And so this morning I was like, was I screaming? Because in the dream I was screaming.
Oh my God.
And it was all about Portillo. And I almost cried in bed this morning.
Were you screaming? Or did you wake
No,
up?
she said no. She was just staring at me awkwardly while I slept. I was like, I gotta give you some reason to wake up and look at me.
She just thinks you're amazing, and she just wants
Yeah.
to stare at you.
Maybe that's why you were having a nightmare.
Feel these eyes on you.
But yeah, so the kids book is something I want to roll out, and like comic books I want to do. Hey, if I have that free time,
Yeah.
it is. Do I not want to hang out with Jen? Do I not want to play a game? Like, I need to balance that and figure that out. But
I think you
that's
can
what I
do
like to do. Yeah.
Very attainable. Jeff?
Maybe this will be the seed.
Similarly to Greg, and one of the wonderful benefits of this career is like, if you want to try something, you just got to figure out a way to make a show out of it, and then it can become a reality. And so I have a lot of things that are like bucket list things that I always wanted to do that I figured out a way to pitch to turn into professional things for Rooster Teeth.
Okay.
So I can't even talk about some of that stuff because it's like, I got a lot of stuff in the works.
I got big things happening.
Not big things, little things in the works, but
Medium things.
medium things in the works. But from a personal standpoint, I feel like I've said this a lot, but I lament growing up when I did where I did, because I think if I'd grown up in a more progressive place or a more progressive time, I probably would have tried more gay stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I just like, it feels lame to be like an old straight white dude who didn't, like, I didn't have a lot of fun experiences.
Do you think?
I had like one kind of gay experience when I was like 14.
Okay.
And that's it. And that's not a lot to draw from. And
Do
now I
you-
just feel too old.
Do you think it's too late? I don't think
No
it's
day
never
but
too
today.
late.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
No
but
day but today.
I'm dating around, and I'm.
Have you thought about going on a date with a guy?
No, I haven't met any dudes that I've. Well, that's maybe not true either. No. I'm seeing somebody I really like right now, and that she doesn't have a
And
penis.
it's like a
But,
monogamous kind of relationship.
I guess any relationship I'm in is monogamous in the sense that I don't have a lot of time for anybody. But yeah, I'm not never say never.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like you're more experimental when you're younger and you're more open and receptive to things, and like I feel like that window isn't shut completely, but certainly is not as open as it
Very limited.
as it would have been when I was 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, I never thought about that before. 'Cause
Wish I'd
grew up
pushed the
in,
gay envelope a little harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You grew up in
Alabama.
Mobile.
Yeah,
right?
Mobile, Alabama.
Is that how you pronounce it?
In the 90s.
Was that typically a very conservative city?
Typically, yes. It's
I guess Alabama.
it's very. I feel bad when I insult Alabama because there are people that live there that are like us, but Alabama fucking sucks, and most of the people suck, and the attitude and the mentality sucks, and it's very closed-minded.
But if you watch the show, you don't suck. You're great.
if you don't watch the show, you're one of the good ones.
I mean, counterpoint, Roll Tide.
Hey, they got their asses handed to them.
Hey, I'm just trying to fucking give them a bone, all right? Like, shit all over their state.
I mean, did they get the shit kicked out of them? Yes. Did they have 5 national championships in the last 10 years? Yes. So, but this is the only bright spot about being from Alabama.
Yeah.
We had Hank Aaron in the University of Alabama football.
There you go.
Maybe one day.
So more dicks.
never say love.
I wish
Okay.
I'd tried more dick.
You know, it's funny. Mine probably would have been the same thing.
Really?
Well, I had my first relationship started
Wait,
when
wh-
I was 16.
Little
You
ginger
want
kid.
more dicks?
Yeah, you wanted more. Okay, cool.
More dicks.
Oh.
Damn. But I'm perfectly happy now. And I
You and I were on the same
have
page.
Wait,
no-
whoa. More buy stuff or more dicks?
I mean, maybe both. I kind of wish I started that earlier on in life because I was in a relationship for 6 years, and it was my first relationship from 16 to 22. And then I went into another long-term relationship and another one. And then so I had like my single phase like 2 years ago for the first time, and I was
Gosh,
like,
it's been that long.
I already feel too old for this right now, even though I was just like 26, 27. Yeah, I wish I did more when I was younger.
You did it.
But again, maybe not because it might have changed who I am right now.
You get the herb?
True.
Yeah.
It's true.
You could have had the herb.
Might have get the herb.
that doesn't go away.
Well, this is a great transition over to thanking HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode of Always Open. This episode of Always Open is brought to you by HelloFresh. Achieving your 2019 goals is as easy as enjoying delicious home-cooked meals with HelloFresh. They make conquering the kitchen in 2019 a reality with deliciously simple recipes. Fresh, pre-measured ingredients and easy-to-follow 6-step picture recipe cards are delivered to your door each week in a special insulated box. Spend less time meal planning and grocery shopping so you could get that time back to do more of what you love, like more time spent with your wife.
Hey.
All meals come together in 30 minutes max, call for less than 2 pots or pans, and require minimal cleanup. There are 3 plans to choose from. You've got classic, veggie, and family, with the option to switch between for when your tastes change. We love using HelloFresh. It's simple and easy, and the recipes are always delicious, and the ingredients are always fresh. It's in the name, HelloFresh.
They wouldn't lie to you in the name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I recently made the beef ragu spaghetti they sent me, and it was incredible. Super tasty, and it only took about 30 minutes to make, which is super convenient for anybody, especially if you're learning how to cook in the new year.
Well, that's the thing about any of these
Yeah.
systems like HelloFresh. I can only imagine if this had existed when I was like in college. Where it could, like I think about the garbage I ate and did not know how to do anything, and if
Yep.
this would have been there, like you think about inviting a date over to cook, right? Like to do something fun like that.
And you don't have to say that it's HelloFresh. You could just be like, oh, I picked up these ingredients, and I'm making you this. That
Now let me
from
go
my
in the
brain.
other room and look at this sheet of paper. What am I supposed to do?
It also teaches you how to cook, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
So take advantage of HelloFresh's special offer for 2019. Get $80 off your first month by going to HelloFresh.com/OpenEpic hellofresh.com/always80 and enter the code always80. That's hellofresh.com/always80 and the promo code always80. 80. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
Hellofresh.
HelloFresh. All right, we're gonna wrap up the show with a question from our hotline. We actually have a hotline that people can call into and
great.
leave a little message.
Hit them up at control@roosterteeth.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love that.
And so we have a lovely message from a lovely lady that we will listen to right now.
Hey guys, my name is Brody. I absolutely love your show. So my issue is I'm about to break things off with my boyfriend of 2 years, and I guess I'd like to ask if you have any advice to make the breakup as easy to deal with as possible. For context, we're both 20, studying the same course at uni, and he's about to go away to New Zealand for a couple of weeks. He's probably not expecting this, so I'm really worried to ask him if he wants me to stay away or not, because I don't think either of us would know what's best. My last relationship ended pretty horribly when I cold turkeyed him, so to speak, and he hasn't talked to me since, but he was really different. Anyway, I really don't want this relationship to end like that, and I think we could still be really good friends. Any advice on the general niceties of breaking up would be really appreciated. Thanks so much. I love you all. Cheers from Melbourne, Australia.
So she wants to break up with her boyfriend. He's gonna go to New Zealand for a couple weeks soon.
Great.
Great excuse.
Great timing.
I see two possible solutions for her. One, just have him listen to this podcast or watch it.
He's a huge, always open fan.
Why don't we break up with them for them?
Two, kiss him on the cheek while he goes off to New Zealand and then move.
You're free.
And don't leave a forwarding address.
Wow, that's just change your name,
I like
get
how
out of
she
uni,
said
do all that stuff.
Yeah, she ghosted the last one, right?
Yeah, she went cold turkey on him.
But she likes this guy and she wants to remain friends.
Right.
Which
Get that shit out your head now. That's
Probably
not gonna
won't happen.
it's wishful thinking, and
Yeah.
everyone, especially if they've, just don't see a future with their ex but still like them as a person, they're always like, oh, we could still be friends.
Right.
You really can't.
It's hard.
You can get there eventually.
It can
You
happen
get
for
there
some-
eventually.
Probably won't happen right away.
It's
Yeah.
going to take more work getting to a good place post-relationship than work you put into the relationship.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, there is never a right time or a good time to break up with someone.
This is a pretty good time.
Right now.
Yeah, beat her act, Band-Aid right off, blah, blah, and then let him go on some 2-week
yeah.
fuck fest in New Zealand.
Exactly. If he's already going
Yeah.
away somewhere, that's good enough timing that you guys don't have to run into each other. You don't have to see each other. He's going away. He can have that separation time.
Yeah. But-
Yeah, I will say, to Greg's point, definitely be clear and honest and straightforward about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
You
think,
think-
a lot of breakups kind of...
Yeah, I mean, you
yeah.
think you're sparing emotions, or a lot of times unintended consequences are giving false hope.
Yep.
Because you're trying to be soft and
You're
you don't
wishy-washy on
You're
it.
wishy-washy.
Let's
and,
do a break, or
It
let's
sends
try-
mixed signals, and they're invariably going to pick up on the signals that they are going to give them the outcome that they want, and and that makes it way worse. It's best just to, as Greg said, rip off the Band-Aid.
To me, the hardest part of a breakup, especially if it's someone who you still like and still love but just don't see a future with, is the pittering out of your communication. So
Sure.
it's like you break up and then you're used to talking to this person every day and messaging them
Yep.
every day. That I've had breakups before with people who I still care about, where it's just like you'd still text them the next day and be like, hey, I hope you're doing okay, and you'd still kind of catch up every day, and then it slowly peters out.
Yeah.
But that's always a very confusing and difficult thing to manage.
Yeah. And then after a little, it seems like it's pittered out, and then they'll hit you back up. And you're like, what do I do with this? I don't know what I want to, you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it kind of is a gray area. But yeah, I mean, I guess generically for anybody looking to break up with someone, what would your advice be? Just rip it off?
Be kind, but
Be kind and honest, and also know that that person is allowed to have their own space,
Yeah.
which I think was a difficult time. Like my last breakup, I didn't quite understand that because it was kind of what you said.
Were you broken up with, or?
I broke up with her, and we broke up, and then it was like,
you son of a bitch.
I know, heartbreaker over here.
I had someone who broke up with me not too long ago, and they, ever since that happened, they were the one who was always trying to reach out
Right.
and talk to me. And there was no easy way for me to be like, this is
Yeah.
not helping.
Right, and it's not helpful. And I've been that person. I've been that person who's like, I broke up with you, but I still want something out of this, and it's not healthy or fair.
So that's, I mean, for the girl who called in, what was her name? Brady?
Brady, I think it was Brady.
Sorry if we got your name wrong, but it seems like she wants to still maintain that, and that might be really hard on.
That's what everybody
others.
feels they want, though, right? Because
Yeah.
you are with, like you were saying, you're in this relationship, you love this person,
Probably
you're just
best
not in
friends.
love with them, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you can't imagine not talking to them, but that's what has to happen.
Yeah, and especially if you have nothing, like you don't have a kid together, you don't own property together, I imagine, like there's nothing tying you two together that you need to stay in communication for.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of friends out there you can make.
Yeah. And time heals most wounds.
Yeah.
So.
Well, any other notes? Good luck.
Go get them.
It's not going to be fun, but yeah.
Yeah,
But if it's
If
what
it has
you
to
want,
happen,
then
it
you
has to
should
happen.
do it.
it's necessary, and especially like people who want to break up with someone and they delay it and delay it and delay it. It's not good for either party.
No.
Like you're not doing anyone any favors by staying in that relationship because you're not happy, and that causes that other person to think something's wrong or that they're unhappy.
Right.
It's just a constant spiral.
Yeah.
So, never a right time. Just do it, as Nike says.
There you go.
That's where they came up with it.
Yeah.
They were talking about breakups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
That's why they made running shoes.
Swoosh your way out of there. Just
Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out and doing the show.
God, thank you guys so much for having me.
And
You know,
Jeff, thanks
Thank-
for being back.
Thank you for remembering that I exist. I appreciate
welcome.
it.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's
Always
hard.
happy to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Always want you on the show.
And we're going to be doing a little post show as well for anyone who's a first member. So if you're not, sign up for a free trial and come check it out.
And email us at alwaysopen.roosterteeth.
Always open at Rooster.
Alwaysopen@roosterteeth.com. Call us at the hotline number that I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, yeah, you could find it. It's on
Yeah.
Instagram.
out.
And then Greg,
Yeah.
I know you've already talked about some stuff, but where can people find you and your stuff?
You can just go to kindafunny.com. There's a whole bunch of links there for all our podcasts, all our shows.
And literally every link on kindafunny.com takes you to a place to spend money on you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's how it's got to be. You know.
So
what
just
I mean?
any link.
Exactly. Just by going to kindafunny.com, you owe me money.
Not true. Don't worry. You're good. But thank you so much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.